Guys, after subscribing to this channel, please make sure that you also press the bell icon so that no notification, no new video of mine, any educational video, is missed by anybody.
I welcome one and all tonight once again for this very, very interesting and very important lecture. I was asked multiple times that, ma'am, we have videos for everything in practical, classes. I mean, I have a practical package. Most of you know about it because I think everybody in this class, I think, has the practical package more or less, in which there is, a lot of stuff for your DNB, MD, MS, DGO, diploma DNB candidates to learn. So you don't only have the mock case discussions which are done by me, but you also have those case discussions which I've now added, which have been done by other students, and they were beautifully done with all my structured discussions post the case discussion. So every time I'll take the case discussion, I'll also teach you what all is important in that case and which can be asked in your final exams. So that I've placed. So majority things you'll see that there is a video. In few things like in drugs and instruments, there was no video, and I had multiple requests. So I thought I'll take it as a class in between when your practical results, your theory results are not yet announced and your practical dates haven't yet come. Of course, one and all can join it, and it's going to be an interesting class like it was in the previous one. The previous class, I have had multiple queries regarding that as well. The previous class is available right now in your complete practical package. I don't know, Jitu must be better, knowing it, if he's put it in the live class recording or it is just put with drugs and instruments. Most probably it will be with drugs and instruments itself. There is a PPT, and now there is also a live class recording. All right. So whenever I take a class on theory topic, it goes in the live class recording theory, that is complete theory bank. Then when I take it on the answer bank, it goes in the complete answer bank. And when I take it on anything related to practicals, it goes as a live class recording in the practical package. So with that, let's begin with the class tonight. Please mute yourself, everyone, because it will be very difficult for others to understand what I'm teaching. All right, let's begin with the pedicle clamp. See, last class, we spoke about the speculums, okay? So you need speculums to examine, you need speculums to see, you need speculums to do the procedures, right? Now we are on the procedures. Let's start with the, let's say, hysterectomies, vaginal hysterectomy, abdominal hysterectomy, you need the clamps. So which pedicle clamps do we have? So we have three kinds. I'll just first brief you the three pedicle clamps and then we'll talk about its indications, which is the most often asked. And from there, the Viva goes, towards the hysterectomies or, cystectomy, could be anything. So we have meningoid clamp, Cocker's clamp, Heaney's clamp. Who is going to tell me what is the difference between these three clamps? In the chat, please, everybody, and then I'll tell you the difference between meningoid, Cocker's, and Heaney's. Most of us, we get to see the Cocker's clamp. I have Cocker's clamp, okay, but there is meningoid's and there is Heaney's. So people can ask you because everybody is working with different clamps. There is a preference of different clamps. Thus, you need to know at least these three clamps, correct? So can you please tell me, all of you, the difference between these three clamps? Yes. Tonight, I'll be showing you the Cockers. Yes, guys. So lots of you in the class, but I need to know, just in a nutshell, if anyone can let me know, what is the difference between these three clamps? All right. Okay, let me tell you myself for now, and then this is going to get more interesting when I'll ask you the indications of different these clamps, because that you should know. Okay. Now, meningoid clamp, see, it's got. Can you see this figure? I haven't got it with me, which is the reason why I've got a very beautiful figure for you. Have a look at this. There's a ridge and there is a groove. Can you see this? This is meningoid clamp. It's a beautiful grip. You always have tooth. Over here you have the lock, and here there's a tooth. Tip of the blades have 1 and 2 teeth. So it's this. Everything is for the grip. You don't want a loose clamp. You don't want a loose pedicle. You want, when you're holding it, you want it robust. And for that, people have different ideas of getting the grip. So this is one of the ideas of getting the grip over the pedicle, that there's a groove and that there's a ridge, so that the tissue is literally crushed between the two, or at least held properly between the Part-2. That's Meningot's clamp. Okay. Then now what is Cocker's clamp? Cocker's clamp is what we've been using, and I have it with me right now. It has got transverse serrations. Yeah, here. I have a straight Cocker's. This one. Can you see this? And when you see inside over here, it's got transverse serrations. I'll try to put it as close to you as possible. Can you see now? Can you appreciate, guys? It's got transverse serrations. In the same way, when you're talking about Heaney's clamp, it's got oblique serrations. That's the difference. Idea is the same. Purpose is the same. Only names are different, and this is what the examiners enjoy asking about. So definitely you must be working with Cockers or Heaney's, but do you know about Meningots? That's how they take it. It's the same thing, okay? But they like to confuse you and enjoy it. But now they will not be able to enjoy because my students will know the exact difference between these three. So usually they all have tooth, they all have lock, and they have different ways of the, kind of increasing the grip. Now, this I'll not pardon you if you don't tell me the indication. So please, in your chat box, everybody, indications of these clamps. And deliberately I have crossed the slide so that you guys don't get any hint. So yes, please start telling me the indications of the clamps quick, and then I'll tell you how to enlist them. Yes. In the last class, guys, remember when I was speaking about, the speculums and more general things like the valsalum or the sponge holding forceps, I divided it as obstetric indications and gynae indications. In the obstetric indications also, inspection or the procedure. Inspection or the procedure. What all things would you like to diagnose? What all things you like to treat? The diagnostic indications, therapeutic indications, correct? Just go systematically. And where is Karishma, who was the star of my last class? She got the gold medal of answering beautifully. She was very methodical, very systematic, and I want everyone to go by that way, okay? So guys, remember that you have a way to go. Remember that there is if you go systematically, you will excel in exam, correct? So please make sure that you're answering with, some thought process in your mind. So apart from holding the pedicles, what else do they do? And how will you put it down? So only Ruchika is answering. What about others in the class? Pooja, try. Irfana, Sanika, everyone please try. Ruchika is trying anyway. Swati, Anamika, Prajakta. Prajakta is an excellent student. She's been there in my classes. Sanjana, Bhanupriya. I see some newer names as well. Please, guys, try to answer. Meena, Shikha, yes. Okay. You will try and you will fail. That's okay with me. I don't like people not trying. Okay, Ruchika, I understand Cockers is for ARM as well in obstetrics. Very good indication. And curved Cockers you use in hysterectomy. Curved, straight, actually you require both of them at some different points. But yes, these are one of the very important indications. Anything else that's coming in anyone's mind? Okay, since in recording it looks very bad to be just sitting around. Now listen to these indications. So in hysterectomy, it's used in multiple ways. Okay, in hysterectomy, it is used to clamp the uterosacral ligaments, uterine blood vessels. You can now step by step you can mention where all do you require in hysterectomy. For oophorectomy, where do you require it? Sometimes you require it for using come on, you use it for pedunculated polyps. Don't you clamp the polyps peduncle and then cauterize it or cut it or suture it, whatever it is, ligate it. Yeah. Then it's used for salpingectomy for tubal ectopic excision. Yes, you've seen that. Cesarean hysterectomy, you will require it, obviously. Clamping the umbilical. Sometimes you can, clamp the umbilical cord of the newborn if it's not available. And yes, ARM, as was already said. So these two become the indications. No problem, Irfan. That's fine. You can answer. You can just chat with us. To hold the uterus during, so I'll just put this as, over here, because these will become the, very good. Now we have a gap. These will become the gynae indications and these will become the obstetric indications, correct? Now just imagine clamp. I was not anticipating or thinking about an obstetric indication, but ARM, ectopic gestation, cesarean hysterectomy, these are all indications for obstetric indications for any clamp. I'm talking about Meningot's clamp, but you can use it for Heenies, Cockers, whatever. So these are the indications. Now, if I ask you the application, that also the examiner is going to ask you, because examiner, tell me one thing, when the examiner hands over any instrument to you, what are they exactly trying to see? Anyone? Why would they make you hold an instrument? What do they want to see? Yes. If you don't know that, then this is very, very important, because what they want to see, you will actually lose marks there. First of all, the placement of the instrument in your hand, that will make them understand, yeah, the holding method is very important, and not just holding method, the ease of holding it. That will show them how much you are comfortable with. See what happens with postgraduate students, especially in certain hospitals, especially the private ones. They don't get to do a lot of freehand. And clamp is one place which usually doesn't go very, easily in many private institutes, because this is usually used in the hysterectomy most of the time, right? So the correct placement of the clamp, locking and unlocking it, even the very fact of locking and unlocking it, sometimes with right hand, sometimes with left hand. One of the examiners had asked one of my students to unlock it with the left hand. I will do the same thing. You know why? Because that will show me how much he has assisted in how many surgeries. The ease of, holding it in your left hand, the dexterity with which you're holding it in your left hand, you're unlocking and locking it with your left hand. Is it easy for you? Is it difficult for you? That will tell us the level of, surgeries you've assisted in, with the ease with which you are dealing with the instruments. Anyway, so this is the inside point, which we all try to see from the students. So this is the part which I'm trying to tell you. The clamp is applied and it's curved, facing the structure to be removed. If it is, a curved clamp, I have an artery forceps which is curved. So when you have to remove the uterus, like for example, this is the uterus, you have to remove it, you have to apply it like this, not like this, obviously. You have to apply it hugging the part which is to be removed. So the curve faces away from the structure to be removed. Not only is it difficult to be sure that all the tissues clamped have been included. That's extremely, extremely important. These are patient safety points. That first of all, you'll try to be as close to this is what they'll tell you. Tell me the safety points of applying a clamp. You'll have to mention that it should be as snugly close to the object to be removed as possible. It should include the entire pedicle, which is to be removed, which is to be ligated. If the ligature suture is going to be applied, it has to go right 1 to 2 or 1 centimeters right below the clamp. Okay, and it should be a little behind the clamp, so that it includes. When you're passing a suture, how many of you have seen my videos in which I've taught you how to, take a suture, a bite in the pedicle? Beautiful, video. It is beautiful, because in that I've tried to come close to the camera, tell you exactly where to put the needle from. Should not be in between, should not even be 1 centimeter above, because 1 centimeter below, you're leaving the blood vessels there, thinking that nothing will happen. Actually, everything is going to happen because of that. Whenever you're holding a clamp and you go 1 centimeter a little below, or 0.5 centimeters below the clamp, and then transfix it, you have taken the entire pedicle. But if you go a little above it, especially in the middle of it, you've not done a good job. In the same way, some people take it in the middle and then tie it below. That's okay. That's fine. But there is a problem in this case, because there's a part of slipping off the ligature at any point in time. So best is to transfix it from below and top, or in between. That is the best way to transfix. Okay, so these are 2 important points, that it should include the majority tissue. All the tissue clamped have been included. That's very, very. Tissues clamped have been included. This is very important point. At the same way, it should be, curve should be facing to be removed.